Hello and welcome to the Dailies on Network Television International, where we keep you updated with what is happening from our papers. We still have the lobbying for the Senate, talking about the 10th House of Assembly. We're still having some fraction in the Labour Party at the tribunal, and then also in relation to the strike by the resident doctors, some negotiation and talks are still ongoing. These and many other stories are what we will be looking at on the papers this morning. I am Selena Elisha Dashom, and of course, Rachel Tanza is my co-host, and we'll be doing this together. Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome, Selena.
We are live on Facebook and on YouTube. Please do well to drop your comment and your contribution on any of the stories that is of interest. But we really love to hear feedbacks from you on what you feel about these stories. And then, of course, we will open the phone lines later on the show so we can also hear you live here in the studio. And we'll be going through the paper, Rachel, starting with the first news.
On First News newspaper, resident doctors disrespectful, NMA already negotiating on their behalf, coming from Chris Ingige. We've not been invited to any meeting with federal government, coming from the NART. Lagos police detain officers brutalizing Okada man in viral video. APC should have presented Osibajo as candidate, says Peter Obi. President-elect better than you, VP Omokri replies Labour Party presidential flag bearer. You're entitled to your opinion, federal government replies Matawale. This is on the probe. You can find the details inside the paper. The big story, Labour Party crisis. How obedience almost killed me in court. This is coming from Apapa as party supporters engage in free-for-all boo mob functional chairman at election petitions tribunal. Factional chair denies collecting 500 million naira to scuttle Obi's petition against Tinubu, accuses Labour Party presidential flag bearer of lying. And he made a statement saying they pounced on me, removed my cap, and I am sure that if not that you people, talking about the journalists, were there, I would have been dead by now. Still on the First News newspaper, Atiku kicks as U.S. Secretary of State calls Tinubu. President-elect shares details of phone call with Blinken. At the downside of the paper, 10th National Assembly, Akeredulo's aide knocks APC leaders, defends governor's position. I regret backing Tambuwal to become speaker, coming from Bajabiamila. And on Anambra attack, no American citizen hurt, says U.S. government. And that's all the news on First News newspaper.
On Leadership newspaper, let's look at some of the briefing trending, where we have Ezekwesi asks Buhari to hand over power to her in a tweet. And then on the numbers, Nigeria need $12 billion to clean up oil spills. You can find more of that story on page 2. We saw that from yesterday too on the paper. 11 days to go, U.S. assured Tinubu of mutual beneficial tied Atiku kicks, where you can find detail of that story on the front page and on page 7. Senate presidency, Akpabio lobbies NNPP, Labour Party, and Miss Chairman. You can find all of that story on page 4. And the big story, Nigeria heading for debt crisis, governors warn. Says debt servicing takes 95% of revenue. I think we saw one time it's about 96%.
Yeah.
Well, the leadership here is having it at 95% is what our debt is taking. And then President Muhammadu Buhari seek reps approval for $800 million World Bank loan. I think we're still having that loan still pending. So we just don't know what, with just 11 days to go, we don't know what the administration hope to do. But if you care to find out more about that story, you can look it up on page 4 of the Leadership newspaper. And we have resident doctors warning strike cripples the public hospitals. You can find detail on page 6. And on the Plateau attack, we have 85 person giving mass burial. We saw in the paper they said just about a little above 40. Now we've seen 85 person because the attack went into community. This really is sad. We send our condolences to the government, the people, and also especially the immediate family of the people that lost their life. We have a picture story here. You can do well to grab the leadership and read more detail of that story that is of interest to you.
On the Vanguard newspaper, manufacturers challenge federal government over recession in sector. You can find the details on page 19. Saint Obi failed marriage led to his death, coming from Zeb Ejiro. You can find the details on page 7. Blinken calls Tinubu pledges to strengthen U.S.-Nigeria relations. Hospital services disrupted as resident doctors begin 5-day warning strike. Prelate Emeritus of Methodist Church Nigeria, Mbang, dies at 86. You can find the details on page 10. The big story on the Vanguard newspaper, presidential poll drama as Labour Party factions clash at tribunal. The writer following that, Lamadi Apapa, factional chairman, attacked in court, called adjourns petition till Friday. If not for God, I would have died in court. A statement coming from Apapa denies receiving 500 million naira to scuttle Obi's case against Tinubu. INEC frustrating my petition against Tinubu, Obi tells court. Insists on Rivers Sokoto election materials. Obi Labour Party refused to pay 1.5 million naira certification fee coming from INEC. U.S. vows to fish out killers of embassy staff. Death toll rises to 10. No American killed. This is coming from the U.S. and then the Buhari. And then we have Buhari saddened by killing. So you can find the details on page 12. This is still on the Anambra attack. And I don't know why there's just so much emphasis on no American killed in the attack, as if that's the good part about what happened, and it has just been on all the papers.
It's really good, Rachel.
It's not.
Despite the fact that whether we have a U.S. citizen being killed or not, the point here is that lives were taken, yes. And I think we should take this serious. I'm happy that the U.S. are saying that they will fish out the killers of this, because it's really becoming unbecoming, Rachel. The number of insecurity we're having, lives being taken. We have seen that yesterday it was just 4 on the paper, but we have seen that right now it has actually gone up to 10.
Yeah.
Yesterday, same on the Plateau attack, we saw it was about 38 or just 40. We have seen that mass attack, mass burial, of course, and then we have seen that a mass burial of about 85 people. And then when we keep going, we still have pockets of killing left, right, and center. You're not even sure, Richard, of leaving your house and coming back. So it's a miracle every day the way we live. Because this brought to my attention just 2 days back on my way going. I met some ladies that were giving a testimony. They were just about to be, kidnapped because they pretended not to be, not to understand Hausa language. And that was the language the keke driver was using. And then immediately they saw one woman. They pretended that it was their auntie. And then they started shouting, "Auntie, auntie," and then she turned, and that was how they got to be safe. So just imagine if they didn't get to do that. And the body language from the driver showed that he wasn't happy, because he actually thought he has actually made it, because he was already making calls. So you're beginning to see that things are really, really getting out of hand, and that is why we keep calling on our security agency and the government to sit up. A lot of things are happening. Of course, I know the security agency cannot be everywhere, and that's why we've always been cautioned to be very, very mindful of our environment. When you see something, you say something. But then I just hope that all that is needed to be done, because of course Nigerians are getting tired of apologies. Nigerians are tired of hearing we will do something, and then we keep seeing that. It's funny when this hoodlums or this unknown gunmen, as they often called them back then, keep coming to the same spot, and you begin to wonder, what did you drop there? We have that of the Southern Kaduna, that it seems as if even the press is maybe getting tired of it. But we can't get tired of, drawing the attention of the government to issues like this. I do not want the government to get carried away by the tribunal or get carried away by the handing over. There are a lot of things happening before the handing over. What happened when everybody gets dead? Who will you rule at the end of the day? So we have to keep calling them out to realize that a lot of things are failing. And if you fail to understand that your number one responsibility is to protect lives and property, every other thing is secondary. So do not come and let us know that you made roads. Do not come and tell us about hospitals, when we all know that it's the taxpayer money you were using. Okay, right now, hospitals have been crippled. Why? Because resident doctors have gone on strike. And we are hearing the Minister of Employment and Labour saying that, I think the first people they read where he said that, of course, he said that they are being disrespectful. These are people that we need their services. And sometimes when you hear utterances, you wonder from what side are you bringing such. Of course, I know sometimes people can be selfish, but then why don't you sit down and reason with them? So right now you can't go to any public health care and get any service whatsoever if you cannot afford to go to the private hospital. Then you stay there with your illness. Right now we know it's raining. We'll be having outbreak of cholera. We'll be having that of diarrhea. Typhoid is on the increase. Lassa fever left, right, and center because rodents are beginning to come out from wherever they are hiding. So a lot of things need to be taken care of. But these are just few out of the many other things that we feel that the government should do something. So despite the fact that yes, no U.S. citizen was killed, but lives were taken.
Lives were taken.
So something should be done to protect lives. Let us see swift action coming from our government, even if it's just one life. Moreover, we're having more than 110. And then in Plateau 85, come on, things are becoming out of hand. So we are calling on the government to do something. Are you working? Yes, you are. But is it enough? No.
It's not
you need
enough.
to do more. We are Oliver Twist. When you do something, we need more.
So we're not even asking for more. We're just asking for you to do what you're supposed to be doing because you're not doing it. It's not like we don't have insecurity and then we're asking the government now to send security guard to everybody's household. No, that's not what we're asking the government for. We're asking them to do what they're not doing. So we're not even asking for more, Sele, because as far as I'm concerned with the happenings in Nigeria, it shows that the government haven't done anything much about security. They have been sleeping on security, Sele, because it keeps taking new form and shape. It's almost like these terrorists, bandits, gunmen, Fulani herdsmen are ahead of our security because it's like when this means is not working for them, they turn to another means. For God's sake, how can these people be more intelligent than the armed forces of Nigeria, than the government of Nigeria? They keep proving that they are ahead of our government, every step ahead, because when this step doesn't work for them, they move to another step and they keep carrying out their evil plans. It means that our government are sleeping and they need to wake up. We're not asking for more. We're asking you to do what you're not doing, because with what is happening in the country, it shows that nothing is being done concerning security, because there are things that we should be done with and forget that it ever happened in the country, but it keeps happening, it keeps happening, it keeps taking new shape, new forms, and we don't know how to even survive as a country. So why will me leaving my house to work be a miracle when I have a government that should make sure that there is security out there for me? Why do we have to pray about every tiny thing because nothing is moving or working in this country? Why must it be like that? Why are we not only focused on winning more souls for Christ when it comes to our faith as Christians, but rather we are also praying for our soul to be kept safer? It's crazy, Sele, but then I don't think we're asking for more. We're telling them to do what they are not doing, and I feel that is the case here, that they need to wake up, because everything indicates that they are sleeping, that they're not doing, because I don't want to believe that that people that don't have the much resources as the government of Nigeria do should be way ahead of a whole country. It doesn't work like that. And if they are way ahead of us, then perhaps we should tell the international bodies we need help. But no, when our presidents are out there on any international visit, they give a different story. They say all is well, and that's why they keep getting applause and award that Nigeria is peaceful. They keep getting peace award and all of that. But we are in Nigeria and we're seeing a different thing that is not peaceful. So I'm looking forward to an administration that will not lie to the international body that we're doing okay, whereas we are suffering, so that we get the help that we need. If so far it has proven that these people are way ahead of us and that the Nigerian government cannot handle them, then perhaps we need help, because we are tired of what is happening around us, and we are tired of crying every day.
Well, I don't think they're ahead of it. I think I am of the opinion that somebody somewhere is sabotaging the work of the security agency. So that is to say that we have snitches somewhere, because of course we've seen success coming from our security agents, and I give it to them that they are working. They are trying their best. But let us see more proactive measures coming from them. You remember just yesterday we saw what was given to our soldiers by the army. And I was like, I went to compare the speed of a bicycle to that of an armor tank, or that from whatever gadget, AK-47 that these people are having. But then that aside, even though it's that important, we're just hoping, just like you said, more active. If you are sleeping, just like I said, the time to sleep is over. So it's high time everybody is awake to actually step up and do what he or she has vowed and pledged to do for the country. Well, let's continue, Rachel.
Still in the Vanguard newspaper, why and how petrol subsidy must go. 10th National Assembly leadership tension as APC NWC recommends free contest. We have a column for Lufasan on page 16 and a sports column that says Golden Eaglet will be promoted to Falcons and then Eagles. And you can find the detail on page 30, and that's all the news on the Vanguard newspaper.
Let's take a look at the Blueprint newspaper with the first story, how NEPC failed to account for 264 million naira in 2019 coming from the AUGF. With the rider, we made available necessary documents as requested. This is coming from the management. And then coming from expert, they said incoming administration must fix the routes in the MDAs. So a lot of things are happening. You can check that on page 6. And our tribunal live broadcast of proceeding abuse of court process coming from Tinubu. With the rider says court not a soap opera. Labour Party fractional chair Apapa Abure supporters clash in court. And then tribunal adjourns Obi case to Friday, another postponing. I just hope all of this will round up before the handing over, Rachel, because the back and forth is becoming, I mean, I was just hoping that we'll just spend about 1 hearing, 2, 3, and we're done with this. Because if we have the facts lined up, the court should be able to make it. But of course, this is not a decision to rush, no wonder the court is taking its time. But then looking at the fact that we're having the president-elect from the APC saying the live broadcast of proceeding abuse of court process. Well, let the court decide whether it's an abuse or not. Let Nigerians decide whether it's an abuse or not. Because, of course, Nigerians want to be in the picture of all of this. Because if Nigerians felt that they were being cheated, if they felt that their mandate is not what is actually at play, then I just think that it should be fair. Maybe we'll have a census, or maybe we'll have some apps where we'll open and then let's have Nigeria let's have Nigeria voting for or against if they want it to be live broadcast, because I believe that Nigerians will want to be part of what is happening. Let them not hear them say they want to be in the picture. So let the court decide if this is an abuse of power or not. So I feel that if you feel that really what is at play, we shouldn't be afraid. Let no party candidate be afraid of what is there. If you are sure of what was at play, then you should be at home relaxing and hoping that the court will give their last, their mandate and all of that. So I think that should be the way forward.
Well, with or without a live coverage, the court will still do the right thing, because in the end, it doesn't matter whether there's a coverage or not. The judges are looking for proof. That's all matters. Let Labour Party bring their proofs. Let the APC bring their proof. Let every other party that has a petition against whichever party bring their proof. And that's what the court needs. And that's all. Whether there's a live coverage or not, whether there are other witnesses in there, it's not just one party that is in that courtroom. There are also journalists. Maybe they would be allowed with their cameras and all of that. They might not be live broadcast, like showing it live and direct, but there are records of it on paper, on picture, voice, and all of that. So it's not really a process that, if it's not live broadcasted, there will be any sabotage or anything. So I want to believe that shouldn't even be a problem in the first place. What I want the Labour Party, the PDP, everybody that's having a petition there, is to focus mainly on bringing their facts. This is a distraction that is not needed in the first place, because we've had tribunal cases in the past that the person who came out victorious had a fair case without it being broadcasted. In as much as it's a high-profile case, and there's no doubt that Nigerians will like to follow and know what is happening. If the court should grant that, it is fine. If they don't grant it, it's also fine. All we know is that it is a court of law, and it's not just one party that is represented there. Every party will have its member, so whatever proceedings will be going on there is some sort of record, of course, just that we out here might not get to see it broadcasted live and stuff like that. So we shouldn't dwell on this much. I see
Rachel, I'll
it as
tell
a
you
distraction
something. Let
in
me
a
borrow
way,
the
yeah.
word of one of this thing. I can give you this for free. The fact that Nigerians really at this point in time are doubting the judicial system.
Even with
Right
the last
now, of course,
Rachel,
I believe that. I'm just trying to lay your point.
Yeah.
Nigerians presently are kind of skeptical about it. Of course, just like you said, it's a distraction. Let's focus. But Nigerians have made a request saying that for those who are sponsoring the Boko Haram, let us have a life tribunal, a judgment for them. That has not been granted. So they were having this killing. So to some point in time, Nigerians will feel that something fishy is going on. What is the government hiding that they do not want Nigerians to be in the picture? So you won't blame, even though apart from the party candidates here that are bringing the petition, I can tell you this, Richard, that if you go to the street right now to ask Nigerians whether they want this to be free or to be live or not, they'll tell you they want it to be live.
Yeah, sure,
Even if there's something fishy, I'll go let Nigerians just know that their eyes is their oracle. They saw what happened at the end of the day. So whether they court granted or not, right now, we just hope that the prayer of every Nigerian is the fact that let the court be fair.
Sure.
Let them grant justice. That is just our prayer. And we're praying for the judges, and we're also hoping that they will actually do the right thing at the end of the day. I believe that is what it is. Well, still on the Blueprint newspaper, we have Tinubu to U.S. I will strengthen democracy, hit the ground running. You can find that on page 8 of Blueprint newspaper. Other stories on the paper here, we have MPHCDA to recruit 202 doctors, 3,806 nurses, 24,461 orders. You can find that story on page 8. Reps enforce adjournment over impeachment scare. You can find that on page 5. And we have on blockchain tech, federal government unveils policy, inaugurates implementation committee. You can find that on page 22. We're having the picture story of the frictional national chairman of the Labour Party, Apapa, while being harassed by some party members in court yesterday in Abuja. So you can do well to grab the Blueprint and read more detail of the stories of interest to you.
On this day newspaper, in honor by broadcasting peers, Arise News Channel wins TV Station of the Year. U.S. Secretary of State calls Tinubu, tax him on inclusive leadership. Attack on U.S. convoy in Anambra may not have been pre-targeted at our mission. This is coming from Blinken. And the writer flowing that Buhari saddened by killings of U.S. Embassy staff, policemen in Anambra, others in Benue and Plateau, says perpetrators will face the music. We have federal government Soludo Huruwa condemn attacks on United States consulate officials. Anambra governor pledges reward for information. You can start with the details on the front page and continue on page 10. And the big story on this day newspaper coming from NESG. Dangote refinery will create $21 billion market for Nigerian crude oil. To meet 100% of Nigeria's liquid product requirement, MAN, LCCI, ACCI load massive project by Africa's richest man. At the downside of the paper, Buhari, Emmanuel, Mon Methodist Church Prelate, Emirates Sumbang. You can find the details on page 9. We have a picture story where we can see camaraderie at FEC, and that's all the news on this day newspaper.
On Daily Sun newspaper, Nigerian heading for crash, governors warn, says action must be taken now to avoid collapse. You can find detail on page 2. The big story, Blinken, U.S. Secretary of State speak with Tinubu, harms on stronger U.S. and Nigerian ties. Atiku expresses disbelief, says call contradicts previous stand on 2023 polls. You can find detail on page 27. Anxiety speak as Nigerians' foreign investment dips by $75 billion. Zamfara governor attacks EFCC, challenges agency to probe presidency and ministers. You can find on page 4. And on Anambra attack, we will bring perpetrators to justice. Comment from the U.S. Buhari films. You can find on page 5. Skeletal service in hospital as doctors begin warning strike. And then we have APC Stakeholders Forum commend the Sun on objective, unbiased editorial content. Delta communities threaten to shut oil installation over abandoned NDDC road project, which you can find on page 4. And on the presidential election, Obi tells tribunal how INEC denied him access to materials in Rivers, Sokoto, and others. With the writer, he is not willing to pay for exhibit certification coming from the commission. Why Atiku PDP request for live coverage should be refused coming from Tinubu and Shitima. And then we also have downside of the paper, don't create rift between Labour, President-elect TUC1 Oganuga. So you can find on page 28. We still have the picture story showing us about the frictional chairman of the Labour Party being rescued. You can find more detail of any other story inside the paper, and that's all on the Daily Sun newspaper.
On Nigerian News Direct, Customs intercepts tramadol worth 1.8 billion naira at Lagos Airport. Polaris Bank excites affluent customers with new product. Scramble for revenue, World Bank allays incoming governors fair pledges support. The big story, opposition kicks as U.S. other world powers extend fellowship pledge to Tinubu. The writer following that story says Secretary of State Blinken calls Tinubu begins collaboration talk. I'm in disbelief, Blinken calls acknowledgement of fraudulent election coming from Atiku. APC ought to have presented Osibajo a statement coming from Obi, storms court for suit to stop Tinubu. Ojora Olapo Bridge, federal government directs immediate closure as theft of reinforcements lead to failure. Senate urges CBN to release $717.4 million trapped airlines funds. We are open to collaboration, NDDC tells AGIP Oil. Bao advocates more international collaboration in asset recovery effort. You can find the details inside the paper, and that's all the news on Nigerian News Direct.
Right, before we move further with other paper review, we'll take a break at this moment. A lot of stories quite interesting on the papers this morning. So when we come back from the break, we will open the phone line so you can air your views. Please do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying tuned. It's still the Dailies on your winning station, and we've been keeping you updated with what's happening on the papers. We've seen Buhari expressing sadness over the killings of Benue, Plateau, and also 10 others in Anambra State. And we've seen back and forth, especially concerning the tribunal on the presidential election, where we have the APC president-elect saying that it's not really necessary for the live broadcast, while we are having Obi saying the commission hindered him with some materials from Rivers and Sokoto. So a lot of stories actually flying on the papers this morning. So we'll beg your indulgence at this moment to, call us. Our numbers are displayed on your screen. We'd love to hear what your contributions are. Please do remember to be very civil when you call us, and also to turn down the volume of your TV set, because we are interested in what you have to say, and other viewers will also love to hear what you have to contribute on any of the stories. I still have Rachel with me. Thanks, Rachel.
You're welcome, Sarah.
All right, let's take a look at the Daily Independent newspaper. Resident doctor strike. We have started negotiations, says the federal government with the rider. We have not been invited by any meeting. This is coming from the doctors, so quite a contradiction. You can find detail on the front page and on page 2. And on rising debt toll, governors worried Nigeria may go under. You can find more on the front page and inside the paper. Fear of impeachment, reps kick as Bajabia Miller adjourn plenary indefinitely. You can find that big story inside the paper. Stakeholders condemn aviation agency 40% revenue contribution to federation account. You can find that on page 7. All right. Hello, sir. Good morning.
Yes, Celeste and Rachel, good morning, my sisters.
Good morning.
Yes, I appreciate the analysis and what the papers are carrying today.
All right.
Mr. President just came back from UK trip, on medical trip, and he is expecting medical facilities at Aso Rock this week. What an irony. Is Mr. President telling us that the facilities or the medical team in Nigeria are not fit to handle him? Or is the country not fit for our president to live in? Why is he our president? Any little problem, Mr. President will leave to another nation to go and check his health, while we are dying here in our hospitals without better facilities to check ourselves. For God's sake, what is happening with us in this country? Who do us in this country, I always ask. Coming to think of what the policy is talking of, APC, with all that they have done to this country, they are forcing themselves into governance again. They want to take advantage of government. And Nigerians are just seeing these things. Are we all cowards that we cannot resist all these APC is doing to us in this country? Honestly, it baffles me. It makes me feel as if it was a mistake that I am a Nigerian. I'm sorry to say this. Nigerians, we are too quiet, we are too calm, but our calmness has been taken for granted. That these people treat us as if we are slaves, as if we are second-class citizens. I pray that the next decentralization will get it right, so that the masses will see better governance come 29 of this May, so that Nigeria will take a new dimension. Good morning, my sisters.
Thank you so much. And I understand your pain. Of course, it looks like our politicians are not really interested. That's what it looks like. It's quite sad. But we are hoping, we're looking forward to a leadership where we'll all stay together in the country, a leadership where the money we saw I think about 3 billion just for the last 3 months or 3 years. Yes. I think $3 billion that was being spent on health tourism, you know. That's just health. We are yet to talk about education and then even other aspects. So it's quite sad, but we hope that the same interest we have in other countries, let's have that. What happened if other countries did not key or do all of that, you know, work on their sectors? We wouldn't have a country to go for medical checkup. So why don't we look inwardly? Our doctors are on strike right now. Our hospitals, facilities are really dilapidated. You can't really say much about our health sector. So I'm hoping, honestly, just like the callers said, that the incoming administration will see the need to actually, you know, work on some of these sectors, especially our health, our education, aviation, our transport, agriculture, even talking about ICT, where we saw there are a lot of money that are there, but we're yet to give it attention. We can do all this on our own, you know. So maybe we're looking forward to seeing where we stop importing things. Let's start patronizing our brothers in Aba. Buy things from there, use it. I think with that, we'll see that the money is circulating within the country, and then we'll have more. So we look forward to seeing where our leaders will, you know, give attention to all of these sectors rather than always going outside for checkup or outside for education or anything of that sort.
Like Sela, I just wish that Nigerians would be keen on history and all of that, because when you look at things that have happened, even the countries that we look at them as world power had periods of depression in their economy that is even worse than what we are going through as Nigeria. And it's just what you said concerning growing. If these countries did not build themselves to the level where they have this health system that is working for them, will we have where we are going to? And I just want to let Nigerians and everybody know that there was once a time these countries that we look so much to didn't have what they are having as it is now. America didn't grow its security overnight. China didn't grow its
okay, we have another call. Sorry. Good morning.
In Nigeria, I don't know why the INEC don't want to pay with a court order. Normally, INEC has no power. to refuse to give the other parties their evidence. If they know they are not guilty, they do the things transparently. Let them bring all the documents out for this people to expect in order to get their proof. Without giving the law their document, and we are wasting time of going to tribunal. And the INEC don't have any power to refuse the tribunal. What are we doing in this our country? What are we doing in Nigeria? How can I make an appointed post refuse to obey court order to give all these people this to inspect? Let us know we are leading to a chaotic kingdom. Nigeria, we are leading to a chaotic kingdom. One day it will burst. All court will take over Nigeria, but we don't know what we are doing. This is a chaotic kingdom. They are investing in Nigeria. One day it will explode. May God help us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
God help us.
Yeah.
Yes, and these people had to make sacrifice. They had to take tough decisions. And one of those decisions, when you look at this, where most of them were selfless, it had nothing to do with personal gains and benefits and all of that. But we have a structure that we see is not working for us for so many years, but nobody is willing to make that sacrifice. No person in key position is willing to make that sacrifice to say, if we want Nigeria to grow in this sector, this is what we need to do. If we want Nigeria to grow, even in the way we govern, even in the way we rule, these are the certain changes we need to make. Nobody is standing with the authority to say we need to change this, and even if it doesn't, even if I don't gain to stand to benefit from this, this is what Nigeria needs, because administration will come and go, but Nigeria still remains where it is. But then we need to grow to take ourselves to the next level. So I just hope that we will not just keep running to these places. But when we want to learn, I keep saying we copy the wrong things when it comes to civilization. We copy lifestyle. We don't copy discipline. We don't copy laws and principles that these countries have used to take themselves to the next place. All we copy is a lavish lifestyle that people have built over the years, and they have the money for it, but we are copying a lifestyle of borrowed funds and borrowed money. And the way our politicians even lavish money up till now, these developed countries that we go to them to borrow money don't spend that much as we do. So we just keep adopting the wrong things, keep borrowing to fund these things that we do, and not we have a call.
We have another call. Hello, good morning. Yes, please go on. We're with you.
Yes.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, sir. Please go on. We are with you.
I want you to connect me to your airport station.
Yes, you are connected. Please turn down the volume of your TV set, sir.
You say I can't hear you well.
Yes, you are connected. Go on.
Okay. Hello.
I'm with you, sir. Please go on.
Yeah, I want to. There are two more these people, and I don't know why they have to accept unnecessary call. Why should they not? Why should they be listening to all this side stuff? What is their business? Anybody go to overseas? Yeah, he can go. Why are they somebody who have his own lifestyle? So I don't like why they welcome all this unnecessary.
So I can also make your contribution.
Yes,
the phone lines are open for people to air their views on stories. Okay, sir?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I said the phone lines are open for people to make their comments regarding stories that are on the papers this morning. So we don't have the right to actually cut anybody short. We are in the democratic system of government. So, but in as much as we're opening the phone lines, we caution people to be very civil with their language and to just stick to what is happening currently on the papers regarding Nigeria. So we cannot tell anybody not to call in, especially when they are making a very useful contribution on stories on the papers. Thank you so much, sir, for that call.
If an opinion doesn't sit well with you, call and talk about your own opinion, but not to say what the previous person is saying nonsense, because your own too might be nonsense to that person. Yeah, so just give in your own contribution and don't talk down what the previous person has said.
Of course, Richard. Well, let's continue. All right. Hello. Good morning. Hello. Are you there? Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can. Go on.
Good morning. Good morning. I want to everybody there.
Morning.
I just want to commiserate with the family of the dead. It is 85 people. How can somebody sit down and kill 85 people? Where is our security men? No, let us talk about it now. Nigeria, listen to me. Everybody, are you telling me that no police, no soldier, no civil defense? So 85 people was killed in a day, in a sport, the same sport. So what are we not talking about? This country, it is only God that can deliver us. The other time, Nathan said that American citizens are better than Nigerians. Thank God that American citizens is not there. What made them better than us? Is it not that this African mentality? It's only God that can deliver us. So.
Thank you so much to that caller. Of course, it's quite sad when you see the numbers of people killed, And just like I said, nobody's more Nigerian than the other. So regardless whether we have a U.S. citizen or not, a life or lives were taken, and it's a very, very serious matter.
I think he said, American
citizens. He was speaking, I think he was quite emotional, but then we balance it at the end of the day. So whether
I didn't say that actually, though. Maybe he got it
he got it wrong. But then we were very sad with the lives, and we're hoping that the government will sweep into action. Let's quickly round up on the Daily Independent, where we have federal government take possession of the second Niger bridge May 20th. That's on Saturday. Says gas supply challenge to Gencos responsible for power shortages. You can find on page 6. PDP talks tough over indiscriminate suspension of members with the raising committee to review cases of reported anti-party activities. You can find on page 6. And on the presidential election, I'm in disbelief. Blinken called Tinubu. We can find that I take that story, presidential election. I'm in disbelief. Blinken called Tinubu, coming from Atiku. And Labour Party supporters mob fractional chairman Apapa in court. INEC refuses to provide 70% of electoral documents coming from Obi. Apapa group plotting to invalidate Labour Party victories nationwide coming from the party. And then downside we have Buhari condemned killing of U.S. Embassy staff, mayhem in Benue and Plateau State. We have a picture story where we can see the Brigadier General Ahmed UNISA, Director of General National Youth Service Corps, and then we have our former Head of State, Yakubu Gowon, during, I think, an inauguration in Abuja. You can find more detail of that story inside the paper.
On New Telegraph newspaper, banks' assets grow by 25.12% to 77.59 trillion naira. A report coming from the CBN. The report reenacts Apex Bank's role in improved sector perception. Naira at growing risks of devaluation in coming weeks. Blinken's call to Tinubu contradicts U.S. position on Nigeria's election. A statement coming from Atiku. Nigeria loses $1 billion yearly to non-certification of agro-produce for export. Electoral Justice NLC debunks alleged plan to shut down Nigeria. Former Methodist prelate Sunday Mbak dies at 86. The big story on New Telegraph, National Assembly leadership crisis. APC moves to break G6 opposition alliance. Opts for open contest to brief Tinubu and governors, while say Betara Jaji orders close in on concession. You can find the details on page 5. Concessions, federal government to make $17.83 billion from three ports, $797 million from Abuja Kano airports. U.S. condemns attack on missions convoy in Nigeria. PDP sets up committee on alleged anti-party activities by G5 and others. You can find the details on page 7. Tinubu opposes live coverage of proceedings. Patients stranded at LASUD as resident doctor strike begins. You can find the details on page 2 and 26. At the downside of the paper, we have a study, blue light from smart screen may harm skin health. And that's all the news on New Telegraph newspaper.
On the Guardian newspaper, battle in state as 18 ministers lobby Tinubu to retain portfolio. You can find on page 6. And we have Atiku in disbelief as U.S. Secretary called Tinubu pledges support for incoming government. Doctors strike grounds activities at National Hospital. Hoodlums take over fail Oshodi Moshi Link Road. You can find on page 8. And coming from the PAPC, INEC will be resume hostility as tribunal. Labour Party leaders fight over chairmanship tussle. And we have telcos give banks ultimatum on USSD debt as presidency steps in. And I think regarding this battle in state as 18 ministers lobby Tinubu to retain portfolio, at this moment I want to plead with the president-elect to please analyze these ministers. If you have not performed for the past 8 years, for the past 4 years, please, the president should not Richard, is a very serious matter.
It is very
because
serious.
If we are having 18 ministers lobbying, we have to analyze this minister. What have you done?
True.
If you are the Minister of Education, how was our educational sector? Minister of Labour and Employment, how are the welfare of our civil servants and the rest? Minister of Agriculture, how is agriculture? Minister of Power, are we having electricity? So let's analyze all of these ministers, because we cannot have incompetent leaders coming back again to cripple the economy of Nigeria. Already we are crying the way things are moving. So we are hoping, and we know that the president actually is very smart, he's wise, he knows the system. He was the senator, he was the governor, so he knows all that it takes. So we are pleading that if any minister, anybody did not perform in any category, they should not. Hello, good morning. Hello, are you there? Good morning.
It's okay. Good morning over there.
Morning, sir.
Yeah. Now, these killings, my question is, why is it that nobody has been arrested? No one has been arrested. And it continues. Why? That is just what I want to say to the world.
Wow, thank you so much. That's a question, and that's a question we direct to the authorities. Why have there been no arrests so far for all this killing day? 85 in Plateau State, we're yet to hear of some arrests being done, and then even in Benue, and even that of the 10 that were killed in Anambra. No, no arrests. And I think it's a question Nigerians need the right answers to this. So we hope to get at least before the end of the day. Let us hear arrests being done, so that Nigerians will know that yes, our security agency are working and the government have the best interest of its citizens at heart. And then I think that's all on the Guardian newspaper. Or you have something to contribute regarding the ministers before we quickly wrap up?
Just as you said, you're very right on point. Look, we don't want to switch. This thing that the person was once a minister of this, then they'll switch him now to let's take him to Labour. Maybe he will perform better there, because we've seen the same people being circulated. Either they were once the director general somewhere and now they're ministers. We've been having such appointments. Someone has retired and in the past didn't even do well, and then this administration bring the person back and all of that. We don't want that. If this person didn't perform, please, the coming administration, if you truly want Nigeria to grow, please, we are begging you that don't put back anybody that didn't perform just because you have some alliance we don't know about. Don't be selfish, because it is about Nigeria. It's not your personal reasons. We need people that will help grow Nigeria, and don't repeat people that had the opportunity to function for 8 years and didn't do anything. What makes you think that if you give them 4 years, you're now giving them 12 years of Nigeria's life in a particular sector, and we're still not going to see any result? So please, we don't care who are the people lobbying, even if they're your personal persons and you have one rapport that nobody knows about, whatever it is, that person should be competent, and you should know that yes, this person will grow this sector.
Of course, Rachel. Well, I think I have to cut it a wrap at this moment.
Yes,
Thank you so much to our callers who called in this morning. Thank you to the crew members. Thank you to everyone that have been supporting Echo Television International. We're truly grateful. You are the reason why we're still on air, and we cannot do this without you. So we look for every moment to appreciate you all for always, seeing Echo Television, supporting through your prayers and also through your financial support. Before we come your way again next week, please do remember that you can always, be part of the nation building of Nigeria in your own little way. When you see something, say something. And to our security agency, we really want to appreciate you, but we are also calling on you to please do more so we can have more arrests being done, and Nigerians will also have trust and confidence in the sector. Thank you so much. Until we come here again tomorrow, do have a blessed day ahead.